What's up, everybody? Carolina Jackpot checking in. It's New Year's Eve, about 5:15, and if you see me wearing this kind of attire, you know it's got to be cold as shit in South Carolina. It's about 30 degrees right now, and set to get even colder tonight, man. I'm telling you, normally throughout the year you'll have to wear stuff like this maybe about once or twice, and you know it might snow here one time a year, but that's about it. It's usually pretty mild during the winter, but it's been pretty damn cold the past few days. I don't like it. Don't like it at all. I like the mildness. I like warmth. Jackpot does not function well in this kind of weather. Thank God we don't have any snow on the ground. Speaking of places where it's cold, Michigan, Ann Arbor, Michigan. And that's the subject of my video right now. I want to go over what I think is going to happen tomorrow in the Outback Bowl between my South Carolina Gamecocks and the Michigan Wolverines. Now, both teams come in at 8-4. 8-4 season for Michigan, somewhat of a disappointment. 8-4 season for South Carolina. Many would feel as though they overachieved this year a little bit if you look at that record, but then you got to kind of examine a few things, and Carolina's record gets much maligned. A lot of naysayers out there because South Carolina play anybody. Look how weak the SEC was this year. You didn't beating anybody any good. All of your opponents were garbage. Yada, 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 yada. Well, I will tell you, we did beat one team so far. Actually, two teams that have bowl wins. And that's plus Louisiana Tech and NC State. Laugh if you want to. But the fact of the matter is, we finished 8-4. You know, we beat Vanderbilt. We beat Tennessee. Beat Arkansas. Some teams that were kind of struggling. But you know what? 2 years ago, we wouldn't have beaten those teams. We'd have lost to them. We came real close to knocking off Texas A&M. Yeah, I know Texas A&M was kind of hot garbage at times this year. But anytime you can beat them in College Station, it's a little bit of a feather in your cap, regardless of what kind of team they're bringing in there. They're always going to be decent. Come pretty close to that one. Georgia, when they were ranked number one, South Carolina held their own against them. Held their own and looked pretty decent at times against Georgia. We couldn't move the ball against them effectively, really. But we did keep them out of the end zone and held them in check for most of the day. Kentucky game was an utter disappointment. I've said all year long that I think Kentucky sucks. On their bowl game, I mean, they actually came from behind against Northwestern and had a chance to win the game at the end. Why in the world you would go for two when you're losing 24-23? They went for two instead of that kicker, that McGinnis kid. He's automatic. He would have nailed that extra point. They would have went to overtime. They had the momentum. They had come from behind, so obviously momentum was on their side. So why would you do that? Why would you just say, fuck it, we're just going to go for two and, let the chips fall where they may? Well, they fell on the wrong side of the tracks for you. That was stupid. But anyway, enough about them. Enough about Kentucky. Carolina, Michigan. This is the kind of team that South Carolina doesn't match up well with, in my opinion. They're physical. They're a physical team. Yes, I know they're 8-4, but if you look at their four losses, they lost to pretty damn good teams. Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan State, and they had another loss in there somewhere. Hell, I forgot who they lost to. I'll think about it here in a minute. Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan State. Who the hell they lost to? Anyway, looking at some of their wins, Florida, first game of the season, meh. We saw what Florida was. Florida was terrible, and most of their team was suspended. All their good players were suspended for that game. Cincinnati and Air Force, they beat both them. Didn't look real impressive against either one of them. They had some unimpressive wins. Rutgers, not really an impressive win there. They played Penn State when they were ranked number 2. They absolutely got destroyed by Penn State. But they kept Ohio State game, their big rivalry game. It was a close game for most of the afternoon. Ohio State pulled away at the end. As well, the Wisconsin game, they just couldn't get anything going offensively in that one. Their quarterback, his name is Brandon Peters. He's actually thrown 4 touchdown passes and no interceptions, which is an improvement over one of their quarterbacks. The one guy, I think, that started the season, his last name was Spite. I don't know what happened to him. He didn't play out the year. I think he must be injured. One of their other quarterbacks, whose name is O'Corn or something like that, I looked at his stats, 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. How is that possible? That is god-awful. But as far as their strengths go, they have a running back, Karen Higdon. He's a 1,000-yard rusher, almost, not like 990 yards. And they got another running back that's got like 600 yards, and another one that's racked up 500 something. So obviously they're very formidable on the ground. South Carolina's had trouble stopping teams like this. So with the exception of Georgia, which is probably their biggest test, Carolina held their running game. Didn't really hold it in check, but they held them out of the end zone. And if you look at Carolina's stats this year, which I was noticing, we've given up almost 500 yards more to our opponents than what we have gained ourselves. That tells you and shows you right there we've had a bend but don't break type deal this year, all year long. NC State outgained us by a shit ton, but we were able to beat them. I think Tennessee probably outgained us. We beat them. Vanderbilt, hell, I think they may have outgained us offensively. We were able to beat them. And, looking at this game, the last 3 games of the season especially, if you want to look at it like the last 4, Carolina they really didn't impress me all that much with some of their level of play. Obviously, the Clemson game, I was very, very, very disappointed in that performance. You can say what you want to all day long about Clemson and they're a playoff team and how good they are and, well, they're just better than you. Well, yeah, that may be true, but, a lot of teams play rivals that are like that are just playing better than you, but they don't go out and lay the type of performance that we did in that game. We lost 34-10, and, looking at that score was not indicative of how bad that game was. It was bad. Okay, I was there. I normally stay for all Carolina games, but that one I didn't. I was disgusted, sick to my stomach. I had to leave. I left, almost at the end of the third quarter. I was like, hell with it. I was so damn pissed at that performance because, 2 times this year, Carolina had been at home at night in prime time. That Kentucky game was a prime time game. Laid a fucking egg. Why? Unprepared. Undisciplined. Ridiculous. Refused to shake their Kentucky players' hands. That pissed me off. Just stupid. I put a Facebook post up about that one when it happened. I said, they're out there acting like that. It's ridiculous. And I said, and then we go out there and lose to Kentucky after refusing to shake their damn hands. Who do you think you are? I said, if you're going to act like the 1986 Miami Hurricanes, you might want to go out there and try to play like them. All right? But anyway, that one was terrible. And the Clemson game, same thing. I mean, Jake Bentley in that game looked awful. He looked awful. If you want to go back and look at it, some of those bad throws that he made, the interception that he threw to Ryan Carter in the first quarter, that Carter returned like fucking 11 yards for a pick 6, was absolutely abysmal. He threw the ball right to him. That was one of the worst pick 6 I've ever seen in my life. It was almost as if Carter was the intended target on the play. It was terrible. It was awful. And then you go back and look at it, there were like 2 open receivers on that play. He had open receivers all night long. For some reason, he wasn't seeing them. I don't know if he's scared. I don't know if he's intimidated. I don't know where his head was. may have been up his ass. But that's got to change. The Wofford game the week before that was not a great performance either. We were able to win the game, obviously. I mean, just for the fact that Carolina was just more athletic and just better than Wofford, an FCS team. And the performance against Florida the week before that was not great. 28-20 win, where they allowed Florida to come back and make it close. And actually, Florida had a chance could have scored and taken the lead with like a minute left to play in the game. Well, couldn't have taken the lead, but they could have scored and tied it up with a 2-point conversion. We won 28-20. There's no reason for that game to be that close. So, looking at the way we played the last few weeks of the season versus the way Michigan played, they had a couple of losses, but, they were really good teams. Ohio State, really good team, despite the fact they did lose at home. Wisconsin, very good team. I mean, obviously, we saw that last night. They finished up 12-1 this year. I don't think anybody doubts their ability. Us, lay goose egg against our arch rival for no reason. That game should have been more competitive than that. They should have been ready to play. Carolina's done some good things this year. Their offensive line has been patchwork much of the year. We're still able to muster up enough strength to win some games that a lot of people probably thought we wouldn't win, and also be competitive in a couple of games that people didn't think would be competitive in. Let's be just real. Everybody thought we'd get blown out by Texas A&M and Georgia when they were looking at that schedule at the beginning of the year, and it didn't happen that way. Carolina was competitive in both those games. In fact, should have won the A&M game. Hands down, they should have won it, but they just couldn't finish it off. This Michigan game, it doesn't match up well, in my opinion. The Michigan defense, it doesn't really so much remind me of Clemson. I don't think that Michigan's defense is as athletic as Clemson's, probably not quite as talented as Clemson's, but they're stout. And another thing that's got me really worried, is the fact that Michigan has in addition to the overall third-ranked defense in the country, they have the number one passing defense in the country. Carolina's kind of a passing team. We don't run the ball that effectively. We got to go to the air to score. That don't bode well for us. That don't bode well at all. And then on the flip side, you look, if we are going to try to run the ball, that's probably not happening either. They got two studs up there on the defensive line, one of whom is Shishon Gary, who spurned the Clemson tater shits a couple of springs ago. They made him a cake. It was a big joke around here that someone's going to have to take that cake they made for Sean Gary back to Publix. Because that son of a bitch turned them down and decided to go to the University of Michigan. But, this is what year? This is the end of year 3 of the Jim Harbaugh era. If you want to look at this game as a must-win, it's not a must-win game for either team. Michigan's already, if they lose this game, they've already got some big name commits coming there next year. This is not going to keep them from coming there. They lost their bowl game last year under Harbaugh by 1 point to FSU. Year before that, they played Florida in a bowl game and just absolutely destroyed them. Jim McElwain's first team. So a loss to South Carolina is not going to, haunt their program forever. It's not going to look good. For South Carolina, beating Michigan in a New Year's Day bowl game will be huge. Now, the 2018 recruiting class for the Gamecocks is pretty much sewed up. There's a few undecideds there. They're probably going to wait till signing day to tell who they're going to go to. But it's all pretty much sewn up right now. But a win over Michigan would look very good with these young people in high school right now. Unfortunately, my prediction, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think that we'll hold them in check. But the fact, I don't think we're going to be able to move the ball. It's not going to be a Clemson-type game. I'm going Michigan 20, Carolina 13, and hopefully I'm wrong. Got faith in you, boys. Go Cox. Woo!